Hey guys, Melzy here. Welcome to another video. So today's video is going to be political in nature. Normally I don't do this, but I had a very stressful and violating run-in with the cops yesterday. So I wanted to make a video about it because it just didn't feel right to do like a gameplay or a scream comp video. It just didn't feel right to do something silly because I had a really bad sleep last night, and I just kept thinking about what things I could have done differently, things I should have said. But that always happens, like you never think about the perfect thing in the moment that something stressful or violating is happening to you. Yesterday, Monday, was Labor Day. It was a national holiday in the United States, so I didn't have to work. And my friend didn't either, so I invited him to go to the beach. And he was like, sure, you pick the beach. So I said, oh, well, let's go to Rhode Island, because it was like only a couple hours drive. I went there last summer and it was really enjoyable. We're having a great day. We walk down along the water to find a private spot, and we see this building that's under construction. So we put our stuff down near that building, but technically it was in front of another building, like a house. But all the houses that were along the water, you could clearly see where their fences ended. So, and the beach, there's no such thing as a private beach in Rhode Island, or at least I know that it's not in Massachusetts. You can't claim beachland because the tide goes up and down and it's beach, and like your property doesn't go into the water. So we were enjoying ourselves, relaxing, having a wonderful beach day. We brought a couple beers, like it's Labor Day, it's a holiday, you know, most people do that. And there's also like a restaurant a quarter of a mile away where people can drink. So I was like, oh, can you help me rub sunscreen on my back? I have this like kind that's like a oil. It still has SPF, but it's oil, so it's like more silky smooth on your skin. It doesn't make your skin look super white like some sunscreens. Mostly the natural sunscreens do that. So he like sits on my butt to like be rubbing it on my back and stuff. And he basically gave me like a little massage and put me feeling super relaxed. And he untied my bikini top to do the sunscreen. So I was just there after getting all the sunscreen rubbed on me, feeling so good. And while he was doing it, he said like, oh, that lady's like looking at us, like a woman who was on the beach, like a mom with her family. And I was like, oh, she's probably just jealous, like whatever. I was laying on my stomach, like super relaxed. And then I said to him, like, do you mind if I just like take my top off for a little bit? Because like it feels itchy. It's like kind of constricting, especially like I was feeling so relaxed. And I also wanted to put sunscreen on my like front side. And he was like, no, I don't care. And that's what I usually have done in the past. I lived abroad for 3 years, and all of the beaches there, basically if females wanted to be topless, they could, and nobody fucked with them outside of maybe whistling like, oh, nice titties or whatever. So I lay on my back, you know, titties are out, getting some like sunshine, like how I usually do when I'm at the beach on my day off, relaxing. Bottom, like genitals, butt, everything fully covered, like a regular bikini. I wasn't even wearing a thong. Not that it should matter, but my friend was like, hey, just curious, if somebody like came up to you and was like, hey, do you mind covering your top, like covering up your nipples, like what would you say? And I was like, I would say, well, he doesn't have his nipples covered. Every man here who also has breasts doesn't have to wear a bikini to cover up his breasts. Like, it's a really messed up double standard that women, because our breasts are like mound shaped, even though not all women's are, but because our breasts are seen as like a sexual, even though they're purely utilitarian to like literally keep a baby alive, people have a problem with them being on display. At least maybe in New England, because this is like a Puritan founded area of the US. I don't know. Yeah, I said I would just tell them like, well, then you have to tell that dude to cover his nipples and tell that dude to cover his breasts. Like, I've seen guys with bigger breasts than me. No shame, like no body shame on them, you know, but guys have breasts too. Guys can get breast cancer too, and Yeah, anyway, like there's like properties, and then like the beach, it goes down, and then water, and there was like a hill, and then we were on like the more flat part closer to the water, and a lady walking her little dog that was like barking at us like a freaking watchdog. She was like, hey, 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 like trying to get our attention. And we were listening to music, like just relaxing in the sun. And I just said to him, like as a joke, like, hey is for horses. And she was like talking to us, but I didn't realize it because I was whatever, super relaxed and not used to people like doing that when I'm just relaxing on the beach. She was like, you're on private property. You need to move. And I was just like, just ignore her. Like, she probably doesn't even live there. She's probably just like a cranky old person. Not to say that old people are cranky, but like, she's just cranky. My friend was like, oh, call the police. Just call the police. Like, joking, being sarcastic in his like gorgeous British accent. She was like, I'm gonna call the police. And I was like, whatever, dude. And he was like, well, I'm not moving, to me. And then we just like ignored her, and she like went away. And then I was like, oh, I want to go swimming. And I changed into my one-piece bathing suit because I like to like really swim in the ocean, and it has, you know, strong waves, and I don't want to lose my bikinis. I'll go topless, but then when I go swimming, change into like a swimsuit just because it's more comfortable for me. And like, depending on who's near the water, who's in the water, I don't necessarily want them like seeing my breasts. But if I'm just sunbathing, like we had all our stuff around us, like there was a chair, like nobody was near us. Someone would have to like make an effort to walk by to like check me out. And nobody was even paying attention, except for the lady that like was looking at us when he was like rubbing sunscreen on my back and like giving me a massage. So we go swimming, and I put on my cute like red one piece. Then, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes into swimming in the water, I see that there's a cop standing on her property, like in her back. I said to him like, oh, she did call the police. And he was like, oh, okay, like whatever. So we just like kept swimming, and he was like, I'm swimming, like I'm not gonna just get out because he's there. So I was like, yeah, you know, you're right, like we're at the beach, like you can't make somebody get out of the water while they're swimming unless you want to like go in the water and drag them out. But we didn't do anything illegal, so we just kept swimming for like maybe 15 more minutes. He went down to the water and was like motioning to us, but we saw it out of the corner of our eyes, but we were like, nah, we're not gonna like end our swim early just because some like unhappy old woman called the police that our stuff was like on her property. And also, we didn't know that it was about me being topless at that point. So we were like in the water together, like, and talking like about the multiple scenarios. Like, okay, what are we gonna say if it's this? What are we gonna do? Like, trying to like make a game plan for how we were gonna handle it. And then eventually I was getting tired of swimming, and I also like swallowed a lot of salt water because I was like laying on my back, and like then some big waves came, and it like all went in down my throat, like up my nose, and I was like, I need water, like let's just get out, I need water now. We were swimming, and then we saw the cop like at her property. Then he comes down to the water to motion to us. We like ignore it. Then he goes to our stuff, and he starts going through our belongings. And he dug through my friend's bag, took the beer can out of his bag and put it on the beach, and took out his wallet and was looking at his name and address. Luckily, I left my wallet in the car, so yeah, he didn't know anything about me, even though he made me give him his information by coercion because he threatened to take us down to the station if we didn't cooperate, and he threatened that we were obstructing justice. He was like motioning to me, and I was like, me? Like, and I got out, and he was like, ma'am, were you topless? Did you have your top exposed earlier? I was like, my friend was putting sunscreen on and opened the top of my bikini. And he was like, well, we have reports like from all around, and this woman, and you know, you're trespassing, this is private property, you're not allowed to have nudity on a public beach. And I was like already scared. I should have said like, and also I didn't know the laws, but he was like, you're not allowed to do this. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, this is my swimsuit. Like, because I was wearing the one piece then. And he was like, well, there was a bikini like over there in your stuff. And I was like, yeah, I was wearing it before. And he was like, well, multiple people have confirmed it. And then my friend like came up because he got out a little bit after, and he was like, I'm sorry, what's going on? And the cop was like, oh, so you're saying you didn't hear anything that I just said? This cop was being so aggressive and like verbally aggressive, escalating the situation. He was like, I'm gonna need your information to me. And I was like, well, can I get a drink of water? Because I like swallowed salt water and like it's hard for me to talk right now. And he was like, no, you can't go to your stuff. You have to give me the information. You do that when we're done with you. And then there was another cop like coming that was like, I guess he called him like his backup, so the other guy came. And my friend was like, no, we're gonna get water. And we start walking. And my friend is black, so there's already that like racially charged cop versus black people energy going on. So we start going, and he's like my friend's looking at me like, just get the water. And they're like, the second cop started blocking me from where I was walking and was like, we're gonna take you to the station for obstruction if you don't cooperate, because this is obstruction right now. And I was like, I just need water, like what's the big deal? And the other cop was grabbing my friend's arm, pulling him so he couldn't go towards our stuff. Like, I don't know what they were afraid of, what they thought I was going to grab, or maybe they thought I was going to grab my phone to record, because that's what I actually wanted to do. But yeah, they were being so... Police are there to serve and protect. They were doing neither of those. And all that needed to happen was, if that lady didn't like me being topless on her property, which it wasn't her property, because it was the beach, she could have come down to us and said, hey, do you mind like covering up your breasts or moving? And I would have said, sure, I'll go down, 100 feet so you don't have to see if it's bothering you that much, even though you have breasts too, like everybody has breasts. Or the cop could have said that. He could have said, oh, hey, I know you guys are having a beach day, but this woman is upset because you had your breasts out earlier, and do you mind just moving your stuff? But he made it this whole complicated thing, and he already knew my friend's name because he looked at his license, and my friend was like, oh, so you've gone through my stuff? Because he was like, what's your name? And he said like his first name, and he already knew. He already read his license, which he took out of his bag, picked up his bag, threw it, opened his wallet, took out the license to get the information. Excuse me. Which is not legal. That's a civil rights violation. Cops do not have the right to search you for no reason. So I give him my information, and then I'm starting to get the water, and the second cop, and then there's a third cop coming now at this point. The second cop says, no, wait, you can't get your water yet, we're not done. And I was like, I gave my information. Like, what? And he's like, he's not finished with your friend. So they keep like extending it, and I'm like feeling like lightheaded at this point, which is also not serving and protecting. And then the third cop started coming, and I walk up to him and start talking to him like, listen, dude, like we're just having like a nice time, like they're not letting me get water, like I'm really thirsty, we've been swimming for like 30 minutes, like I don't feel good. He was like, well, I don't really know what's going on, but like you have to give your statement. I was like, I did, that's the thing, like they said that. And then but by the time I finished talking with him, like my friend had already given the information, so we went over to our stuff and like a ton of water. And then the cop who was like the ringleader, who, like, I'm telling you guys, he had like a screw loose in his mind. He was like the type of cop that is not only drunk on power, and like it's not about doing a job and protecting people, it's about like showing you that he is in power, he is in control, you have to be submissive, you have to do what he says because you're totally at their mercy. Like everything he says, he was saying it as if it was the law, like his whole way of speaking. And also it was very like antagonistic, like he was trying to escalate it so that we would like give them a harder time and get worked up, because like it really felt like he wanted a reason to arrest us or mess with us or something like that. And he also mentioned that we had an open container of alcohol, but he knew that because he was looking through our stuff. But he was like mentioning it like, oh, like I could also get you for this. And he was like, what's gonna happen is you guys are gonna walk to your car and you're gonna leave. He made a point of saying like, oh, you think it's normal to see a police officer in full uniform standing on the beach? I'm waving to you guys and you're ignoring me. You're playing these games with me. And another cop said, you know, there's 3 of us here now at this point, and like, this is half of our police force. Like, you guys are wasting our time. I didn't really like respond to that when they said it, but I was like, now in retrospect, I'm like, well, why were there 3 cops being called to the beach from one old lady who was pissed off that one woman had her tits out for fucking 10 minutes? And I asked him like, yeah, so we thought this was a beach, the public beach. So yeah, because we weren't like on their property. And I was like, so where's the line? Because we don't really know. And he was like, it's an imaginary line, ma'am. Also, a little caveat, he never asked me what happened. He only got the story from the lady and the other people that he supposedly talked to confirm. He didn't ask me anything. He already went into the situation like, I'm wrong. I'm the person who's doing something illegal. I'm a horrible witch for like being relaxed and free and enjoying the beach day and getting some sun on my body. Like, Jesus. I don't know what kind of training he got, but he needs more training and also like a psychological evaluation. Cops are not supposed to escalate situations. They're supposed to de-escalate them. And he was like, well, here's what's gonna happen. You guys are gonna walk this way, go to the sidewalk and walk down to your car and leave. As we were like putting our stuff away, because they were just standing there, I was like, well, at least I was trying to like lighten the situation up. At least you get to like be on the beach for a half an hour, like enjoying, you know, it's a nice view. And he was like, yeah, that's exactly what I want, to be on the beach in my dark uniform. And I was like, it's not hot, it's like breezy. It was so violating. The way he talked to me, the way he didn't ask me like anything about my side of the story, and was just treating me like I was this like horrible, despicable woman for like choosing to be topless. And it wasn't even like the whole time I was at the beach. It was like 5, maybe 10 minutes tops. I looked up an article about topless states that I want to show you. So I was looking up states about where you can be topless. Rhode Island is green, meaning you can. The green colored states are those where top freedom is in effect. Orange have ambiguous state laws. Red are the ones where mere showing a female breast in public is illegal. GoTopless.org. Then I looked up the rules about Rhode Island, the Rhode Island law. Oh yeah, because before we left, we were asking about like the legality, because I was like, I didn't know that it was against the law. And he said, not around here, like to be topless. And my friend was like, oh, can you tell me what the law is? And he was like, it's all online for your viewing pleasure. And my friend was like, well, I have 3 cops here, like, can't you just tell me? I looked it up the next day. Like, I woke up super early and was like thinking like, what could I have said? Like, did I do this right? Why didn't I stick to my guns and say like, yes, I was topless, what's the problem? And part of it was that I felt really intimidated. His whole demeanor, way of speaking to me, they were very quick to threaten taking us down to the station when we were like walking to our stuff and not just standing there to give them our information. Like getting a drink of water before giving the information would like make the world explode or something. So I looked up the park and management rules and regulations, and under section 3, it's annoying and or questionable activities. Public nudity is prohibited. Technically, if a lady was upset that we were trespassing, and for me being on her property, we weren't in a public place. So that first part doesn't make sense. Secondly, public nudity is genitals. You can't have your genitals out, and I didn't. And men are topless all the time, de facto, so it's a really sexist double standard. And then also feeding wildlife is prohibited on state land, and nobody gets in trouble for that. We saw people feeding the seagulls there. So, oh yeah, this is also very important. I've never been arrested, so I have this fear in my mind around that and not having a clean record and that like making things harder in my life. But my friend explained to me, like, people get arrested for political stuff all the time so that they can go into the system and then either sue or fight so they can change the laws. And that didn't really occur to me. So they were committing a civil rights violation against me based on my sex because I'm a woman. Also, he didn't need to read my gender, assume my gender. I could be gender but non-binary, I could be trans, I could identify as male. Police officers sometimes go too far, violating the rights of citizens. When this happens, the victim of the misconduct may have recourse through federal and state laws. A primary purpose of the nation's civil rights laws is to protect citizens from abuses by government, including police misconduct. Being stopped and questioned by police in connection with a crime, which it wasn't a crime, is an unsettling experience for most anyone. As long as the officer is performing his job properly, however, there is no violation of a suspect's rights. In fact, police officers are immune from lawsuits for the performance of their jobs unless willful, unreasonable conduct is demonstrated, which we would need to have a recording device to use that in the court. False arrest. This is the most often asserted claim that the police violated their Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable seizure. I felt that I was mistreated. Assert your rights against police misconduct. Civil rights claims are an important part of our legal system, providing a balance between the duty of law enforcement to uphold the laws and the rights of individuals to be free from police misconduct. And he totally was lying to our faces about the laws, which he had no idea what they really were. When I was searching topless law in the United States, there are 31 states where women can go topless. Policing women's bodies is nothing new, but the gross double standard of the acceptance of male nipples and the rejection of female ones never ceases to amaze me. Nipples are nipples. Who cares? It's not just a matter of legally accepting the female body. We've already seen how our lack of cultural acceptance manifests for women openly breastfeeding in public. Despite that fact, we've sexualized the female body for decades. Many people still cringe at women performing one of the most natural acts in the universe, nourishing her offspring. This is the list of the states. Ohio, Kansas, Jenna Marbles, Georgia, North Carolina, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Texas, Missouri, Montana, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Nebraska, Abby from Broad City, Nebraska, North and South Dakota, Rhode Island, Vermont, Oregon, West Virginia, Alaska, California, Idaho, Hawaii, Wisconsin, New York, Connecticut, Illinois, Iowa, New Mexico, Washington, D.C., Alabama, and Wyoming. So there you have it, folks. That's the story about what happened to me yesterday, just going to the beach on my day off, and how the cops treated me based on having a female body in public. That's it. That's the reason why I was, treated like that. We're living in an age where everybody just wants to put their head down and like keep going and not get involved because people are just too lazy and too stuck in their own comforts and comfortable lives to like step out of that bubble, stop and see like, oh, police are harassing this couple on the beach, like what's going on? Maybe I should like walk over and see, or like record, or like make sure that there's not an abuse of power happening. Nobody did that. And this whole thing happening really makes me want to get more involved in like the Free the Nipple movement and be more of like a voice that is pro having nipple equality and like not rating female nipples as illegal compared to male nipples to be out if you're just like at the beach. Especially because other countries that I've been in, Portugal, Spain, even in lakes in the Netherlands, you see women with their breasts out all the time. Like even moms. It's like not a big deal. It's a breast. Like, get over it. It's a part of the body that exists for nourishing a child, a baby, and like allowing our species to survive and thrive. If anything has happened to you or somebody you know like this, feel free to leave a comment. Sometimes when shit gets real, there's a truck outside. Sometimes shit gets real and you gotta just go with it. Also, if you have any advice for ways to deal with this in the future, also feel free to comment. I love you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. And I'll see you on the next Melzy Monday. Smell you later.